Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all sport lovers from all over the world. My name is Gábor Gundel Takács. I'm a sport reporter, commentator, and director of communication of the Hungarian Olympic Committee. Thank you for joining us to celebrate together the fair play from here, Budapest, from the Hungarian Olympic Committee's headquarters. The World Fair Play Day was created in 2020 for the purpose of having a day when the attention of the whole world is turned to the fair play sport. This day is 7th of September in every day. The World Fair Play Day is a sport initiative designed to promote fair play and ethical values in sport. Everyone in sport, both and on and off the pitch, is invited to highlight fair play initiatives, projects and successes every year on this date. Today in our show we go around the world and the questions: what can help us to spread the spirit of the fair play? We will connect Japan, Mexico, Austria, Brussels and Italy also. Now the President of the International Fair Play Committee, Jenő Kamuti, welcomes you.
My dear fair play friends, this is the first time to reach you through video message as the President of the International Fair Play Committee, you who are thinking the support to the fair play. The term of fair play is evocated first at the time of the ancient Olympic Games. The fair play concept was mentioned and considered as important by the Greeks. According to research, it the first appeared in writing in Shakespeare's play King V, where it qualified the action of knight and represented how to act according to the rule of fair play. Throughout my career, both as an athlete, Olympian and a medical doctor, it has been a law for me that all my actions are guided by honor, respect for others and helping to others. The International Fair Play Committee are founded in 1963 at the initiative of Jean Borotra, the famous tennisman, where the founders formulated the goal that the fair play is the basis on the sporting and social activity and should be true to youth and humanity. Thankfully, in recent times, as a result of the work of our organization, fair play has become stronger and popular, and we have awarded the International Olympic Committee recognition. To promote this fair play day, four funding organizations decided to dedicate the special day for fair play, on which day we can talk about the fair play on all over the world, reminding the society to the importance to the idea. This dedicated day was celebrated the first last year, and for the second time it will be this year on the 7th of September, which are calling World Fair Play Day. This time, once again, as the President of the International Fair Play Committee, I would like to ask all National Olympic Committee, sport federation, clubs and the schools around the world to commemorate fair play in some way in their own country. The International Fair Play Committee is happy to be your partner in this effort. I ask you to accept my request, which I am convinced will be a good service to your own country and this world sport movement. I wish a pandemic-free future for all of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for these words, Mr. Kamuti. We hope Janusz' request will be followed everywhere, and fair play has a bigger sound in the world year by year, not just because of the world events. And this year, the most significant international sport event was organized in Tokyo, of course, where we could see many, many great fair play moments and players. The winner of 2020 Fair Play Award will be chosen by the representatives of International Fair Play Committee, Olympic athletes, and international media based on the public nominations. Now, Sunil Sabharwal introduces the 13 nominated players. Welcome here. But first of all, let me ask you that what does this award mean and what do we have to know about it?
Thank you, Gabor. I'd like to welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Gabor mentioned that we are at the headquarters of the Hungarian Olympic Committee, but we're also at the headquarters of the International Fair Play Committee, thanks to the generosity of the Hungarian National Olympic Committee and its president, Christian Pulchar. To wind the clock back a little bit, CIFP, International Fair Play Committee, Comité International pour le Fair Play, has been around since 1963, and we've been awarding every year a significant award annually during this period. However, as of 2008, with the initiative at then President, IOC President Juan Antonio Samaranch, we actually participated at the Beijing Games with the Fair Play Awards. And that really put a different level of attention on fair play and sportsmanship. When Thomas Bach became IOC President, really he took it again to a whole new level. And at the Rio Games, we had a phenomenal selection of athletes, and we were at the Olympic Club where we could show the Fair Play Trophy and the winners. Of course, Tokyo was different from many respects, and we continued the tradition of recognizing fair play moments, but of course it had to be done on a virtual manner.
Thank you. This is very interesting story. But who will make the final decision and when?
So what was also unique about this series is that anyone could nominate. So we received nominations through all our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website, email. We even got a mailed letter to us, and anybody in the public could nominate. We're going to talk about those shortlisted nominations in a few minutes, and then we're in the process of selecting a jury, just like you mentioned, IOC members, fair play members, athletes, representatives of the media. It's a little bit of a surprise, so we'll disclose those at a later time.
Okay, but it's time now to see the 13 nominees, please.
Absolutely, thank you very much. As I mentioned, we received lots of nominations. We shortlisted 13 that we will share now. What's interesting about them is that they represent all continents. They come from many different sports. And the fact that we've received nominations from every single continent actually shows that fair play is truly a universal value. With that, let's go to the first one, which comes from the sport of judo. And it's a fight, unfortunately, that does not always take place. It's between an Israeli athlete and an athlete representing an Arab nation, in this case, Saudi Arabia. And the fact that this fight actually took place, I think, to a large extent, is also thanks to the leadership the International Judo Federation and its president, Marius Vizer, has exercised in insisting that sport must transcend physical and political boundaries. That's our first nomination. Moving to our next nominee is from the sport of badminton. And this is the case of an Indonesian athlete against a Malaysian pair, where really it's the ultimate of the fair play that you see when someone's points is awarded incorrectly, and someone talks and says, no, I'm sorry, this point was actually against me, and really a wonderful moment at that. Moving on to the next one. So here we return to Hungary for a second, and the sport is athletics, where a Hungarian hurdler, Luca Kozák, after the event, really goes and helps her competitor as she stumbles on the 100-meter hurdle event. A wonderful moment to see. Moving on, the ladies gymnastics team with Simone Biles was possibly one of the largest stories of these games, and really brought to life the importance of mental health and the complexity of competing at this high level. What happened here is that Simone Biles started the competition, withdrew, and then re-entered the race. However, her team really needed to step up in a very helpful, positive, supportive manner in order for the team to continue the competition. Wonderful team spirit there. Moving on, Sifan Hassan actually became the star, one of the stars of these Olympics. She won 2 gold and a bronze medal in 5,000 meter, 10,000 meter, and in the 1,500 meter. Here, what a lot of people don't know, that in the preliminary event, in the 1,500 meter, in the qualifying race, she actually fell. She was tripped and fell, but she got up and finished the race and qualified. She could have, of course, gone to a jury, file appeals and all that, but instead of that, she just showed grit, and in the end, finished in a qualifying place so she could run in the finals. The next one is a very touching human strength and perseverance story shown by Alex Willoughby, whose husband really went through a traumatic experience, but she took time off, helped him out, and then returned and was able to compete as an Olympian at these games in BMX. And the next nominee, back to athletics. Another moment where 2 top athletes, Jewett of the United States and Amos of Botswana, tripped each other and fell. Again, you could have seen an occasion where Jewett would have turned to a jury, have the race rerun. Instead, he got up, helped the other athlete up, and they actually ran through the finish line together. Moving on, and this is probably something that many of you have seen. We're talking about the men's high jump event. It went into the late night. 2 athletes, Mutaz Barshim and Tamberi from Italy in the high jump, they finished with the exact same number of jumps and exact same results. So they couldn't clear the 2.39 meter height, which is very high if you want to visualize. It's like in a hotel room, you know, your top ceiling, and you have to kind of clear that with your full body and arms and legs. And in this case, they both could not clear the 2.39 3 times. And the rule is that the judge then goes to the athletes and says, well, shall we have a jump off or what next? And what's really impressive about this second is that Mutaz Barshim, without any hesitation, immediately went back and said, can we just have 2 gold medals? And of course, the jury decided that that was possible. And what was really interesting about this moment, that Tamberi, after the event, actually tweeted saying, well, what's better than 1 gold medal is actually 2 gold medals. So really, this is a very special story of these games. And then moving on, but remaining with athletics, this is, of course, athletes of 2 countries, India and Pakistan, which have had a difficult relationship on a geopolitical basis, understanding of each other. But this moment really shows the power of sport, how it transcends politics. And still staying with athletics, this is a nomination actually came in from one of the most famous Australian sports journalists, Will Swanton of The Australian, where Cedric Dupler is helping another athlete to really perform his best, even though Cedric was kind of out of the race himself, but nevertheless didn't give up because of his teammate. And moving on, we have a wonderful moment in swimming. So swimming is, of course, one of the most competitive sports here. And here you have several athletes from different countries right after the event, even though they've been in a deadly heat competition, still coming together moments after finishing, congratulating one another. A very nice moment immediately after a very tough competition. And if we go to next, so we have a new sport here, and this is triathlon. where right after the event, this moment really shows that sports and the Olympics are not just about a physical competition, but also that of emotions. And here you have Lotte Miller of Norway giving a pep talk to Claire Michel for her to cheer up after a very tough day in the triathlon. As we know, it's a really grueling sport. And finally, last but not least, we have a new Olympic sport represented here as fair play, skateboarding. And what happened here is that one of the finalists from Japan, Okamoto, fell in the final and didn't get perhaps the result that she wanted, but all her other fellow competitors just corralled around her and lifted her as if she was the actual winner. What's really special about this one is that not only it's a new sport, it's actually a sport dominated by youth. So I started my commentary here saying that fair play transcends really globally because we had nominations from all the continents. Here I think you can see fair play transcending across age now, so really moving on to the youth, and this is a wonderful example of that, and really it's this high note on which I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Such a great nominees, and it will be very difficult to choose. But now in our studio we have here two fantastic sportsmen who have never forgotten the importance of the fair play to their careers. Laura Sárosi, Olympic badminton player, who got an international fair play diploma in 2016. And I also welcome Attila Mizsér, Olympic champion and 7-time world champion pentathlete, who got an international fair play certificate and Hungarian fair play lifetime achievement award in 1995. Welcome and thank you very much for visiting us. First of all, let's see an example because we have to talk a lot about the importance and the meaning of fair play because it has many forms. For example, an interesting news walked around the world press from England. A dog owner with broken legs didn't recognize why his dog's leg hurts while the dog limped next to him. At the end, the veterinarian recognized that everything was okay with the dog. It just showed some solidarity with his owner who had got plastered leg. According to the professionals, this is a real example of the strong connection between people and animals. First of all, let's see this short video, which may show us a great example of what fair play could also mean. I think this is incredible. What do you think about this story, Laura?
Yeah, this is incredible. I think this shows that fair play is not only in sports, like it can occur in anywhere. Like especially we can see like with the dogs and the people. This is really nice.
Attila?
Yeah, it reflects one of the most important elements of fair play, solidarity and empathy to your friend in this case, and on the field of play to your rivals.
You know exactly what means to be a fair play about the sportman. Fair play is a conscious decision. Do the players have to prepare for fair play? Or how comes it, Laura?
I don't think it's a conscious decision. I think it's like a conscious life lessons we learn. I think we grow from these lessons during our life, and if we want to learn from it, then we can grow from it. I think this is so important, I think, in my life, and then I think in everyone's life.
And how can you see this, Attila?
Yeah, actually, I think that in the everyday life of athletes and the entourage of the athletes, it should be or could be a regular agenda. So after trainings or in preparation periods for championships, coaches and athletes should talk about the spirit of fair play. That is the preconcept to reflect it on the field of play in the competitive situations as well.
So we will talk a lot about this issue, the fair play. But now one of the tasks of the International Fair Play Committee is to give sound and popularize the spirit of fair play. Next to the official events, there are more sport events and programs where our colleagues present with their stands. At the weekend, we went to Vienna, to the Rapid Wien resupply tournament, where we asked young people what sportsmanship means to them.
I'm happy that I'm standing here at the side of the pitch where behind me the 9th edition of the International Under 15 tournament of SK Rapid Vienna Varta tournament is taking place. We are really happy and proud that it's a big tournament this year. As we remember, last year there were only 3 participants due to COVID restrictions. It was not possible to have a really big football party, and this year we are happy to host teams like FC Barcelona, like Juventus Turin and Ferencváros Budapest from abroad, and all the important Austrian Bundesliga teams are with us here with their under 15 teams. The organization runs smoothly. We are happy and proud that it works out fine, because the planning started in the middle of June, which is quite close to the date of the tournament.
My name is Basel Bawab. I'm from Barcelona, working at FC Barcelona, and we come here with the under 15 team, and we are very happy to be here. In this tournament, the organization is excellent. There are very good teams like Austria Vienna, like Rapid Vienna, like Juventus, and it's a very good opportunity for us, for our team, to the development, to continue improving. The fair play is very important for us. We have 3 main values in the club: is the image, is respect, is discipline. So always we are pays attention in these things. For the kids, it's very important.
We have fantastic conditions, and this means we can play the finals, the big final and the game for 3rd place in the big stadium, which gives a special atmosphere and a special frame for this 9th International Varta tournament of SK Rapid Vienna.
Thank you very much. Laura, you are a fair play winner. You deserved it on the European Championship in 2016. What is your story?
Yeah, my story, it happened 5 years ago when at the last qualification tournament before the Olympic period finished, it was the European Championship, and then I was playing against the higher ranked player from Germany, and her shoe is just like got broken. I don't know how it could happen because it was a new shoe, and she couldn't continue the game. And I just went to the net, and then I was asking her like, hey, what's your size of your shoe? And then it happened that it was the same like mine. And then I had my spare of my shoe in my bag, And then I was just like giving my spare shoe to her. Everyone thinks like, you gave your shoe. And I was like, for sure not, because then I could not play. And she could continue the tournament. And she was beating me in 3 close sets. And it was so important for me because I knew if I'm going to win this match, I'm going to qualify for the Olympics. And if not, I will be on the waiting list. And she won, and then she went to the Olympics, and then I was on the waiting list. But luckily, I got into the list later.
That's the truth of the world or
Yeah.
life, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But what is the inside urge which manages the fairness, which manages these gestures?
I think the most important fair play has to be like a gesture. Like if it comes natural, this is the fair play. If they feel like you are doing it just like to make yourself like to put yourself in a better way, or like your coach says to be nice, then it's not like fair play, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I think I couldn't believe it, because when I finished my match and then I told my parents what happened, and they were like, "Are you serious? You just gave your shoes. This is like such a huge thing, and it's really nice from you." And I just couldn't think about it. For me, the important was for sure like to win the match. Then after I was thinking like, yeah, the important is to win, but for the most important is like how to win.
Yeah, how to win. And maybe it is not a good feeling to win on that way if your opponent is better but unlucky, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point, I think, in Laura's story, that one of the most important elements in the spirit of fair play is that particular one. When I realize that one of my rivals are not at the same condition like my condition, I have the chance to help her or him. And if someone does it, that's a great thing, I think. I truly think and agree.
Thank you very much. Let's see another short video. Fair Play Day is a really fresh initiative, but it received big popularity all over the world. In our show, we introduced the message of several sport leaders. The first video message is from our neighborhood, Austria.
Dear friends and colleagues, sport is facing different threats to its integrity, risking to jeopardize its unique social and educational potentials and benefits. In a world where individualism and selfishness tend to be the norm, I firmly believe that sport can be a potential instrument to develop society to a better. If sport wants to fulfill its mission, there is no other way than doing everything to secure its foundations. Strongly promote fair play principles and ethical values in sport. The World Fair Play Day reminds all stakeholders in sport to pick up the idea to re-implement fair play principles in their activities by encouraging initiatives in that area. The European Fair Play movement strongly supports the fulfillment of mutual aims and the attainment of a common mission, the education for ethical values. This is the World Fair Play Day common legacy to the present and the future young generations. The second edition of World Fair Play Day encouraged people in many different countries to create projects dedicated to this event. I just want to mention the EFPM 100 Days for Fair Play Challenge, inviting teams to achieve the 1,275 kilometers distance Brussels to Budapest, and many of them reached the goal. Finally, cordial thanks to the International Fair Play Committee and our Hungarian friends as organizer of this outstanding initiative. In the near future, more and more World Fair Play Day activities will be initiated and celebrated in different countries all over the world as a strong sign for solidarity, respect, integrity and friendship. Let us together take care of sport and play fair.
Thank you very much for this message. We may heard a lot about fair play in the past few months, thanks to the world's biggest sport event. We all know that the pandemic situation changed the Olympic Games. Our heart beat with the athletes as always, but in this year we could follow the events only on the screens. We asked the president of the Hungarian Olympic Committee, Mr. Krisztián Kulcsár, about the connection between Olympic Games and fair play.
Hello, Christian. Thank you for accepting our invitation for this little interview. My first question would be, what does Hungarian Olympic Committee and Fair Play Committee do together? What are their work consists of?
Well, for us, the principles of the Olympic Charter are important, and according to the Olympic Charter, the aim, the role of the sport is to promote the Olympic values, and among the Olympic values, one of the most important values is the fair play. So we really believe that fair play is the important value we have to promote. So this is why we exist, if you want to be very simple and clean in phrasing the principles. So for us, to respect the fair play is one of the most important priorities we take into consideration when we operate.
We know that in sports, and especially in the Olympic Games, winning is really important. It's a priority. Winners get remembered, so to speak. But why is it so important for you to promote fair play?
I think once you get to the Olympics, of course you want to achieve the best possible results, and if you have a chance to win, then of course this is the real aim you are focusing at. On the other hand, victory and participation would have much less value without the fair play. This is actually my own opinion.
Hungary is famous for their champions. We take home a lot of medals from the Olympic Games each year, considering the size of our country. What can sports people and Hungarian Olympics Committee and Fair Play Committee do to promote fair play, beside taking home a lot of medals each year?
Well, I think the sign, which is the strongest in respect that for us this is an important movement, if you want, is that among our own committees, we have within the International Hungarian Olympic Committee, we have several committees, and we dedicated an independent committee for the idea of fair play. So within the Hungarian Olympic Committee, we have a fair play committee. I think that's by itself enough to prove that for us this is an important matter to deal with. I believe fair play is global or should be global. On the other hand, we are very honored, and we consider this as a prestige to host the fair play committee in general. As you know, the International Fair Play Committee resides in Hungary, in Budapest, and we are very proud that they decided to have their headquarters here in Budapest.
What are your plans for the future regarding your work with Fair Play International Committee?
Well, each year we have our own award, a Fair Play Award in Hungary. Our committee is doing a very good job, if I may to be a bit subjective on this matter, and the award ceremony is one of the events the Hungarian society is aware of and interested in.
Christian, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for answering the questions, and I wish you a fruitful work within Hungarian Olympics Committee.
Well, the World Fair Play Day is new, but it's celebrated already at several places in the world. For example, sport leaders consulted about fair play in Brussels last year and today as well. And in the main square of the city, the famous little mannequin P. Fontaine got clothes to promote fair play. The world's most famous publicly peeing child is wearing new clothes today in the name of fair play. But I think it's just a joke. If you want, maybe there are more important things to do. What do you think? What other tools needed to promote the fair play? Education, trainings, or what else? Attila?
As I told earlier, I think that it should be part of the day-by-day life of athletes and sport clubs and federations. They should involve coaches, athletes, and even parents if it's applicable. And of course, best practices, the best stories are probably the greatest tool to have. So if we tell stories about our fair play heroes, let me remember when I was 18 and one of our canoe heroes, Tamás Wichmann, won the Fair Play Award. That was the moment for me when I became aware of the fact that there is something very special within the Olympic movement and the global sport movement, which is important. And from that point on, it was more and more important for me, for instance. So best stories are probably the greatest too.
And what about you, Laura? Are you agree?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it has to come from the parents, and then has to come from the coaches. So first, I think we should educate them, because then the kids are learning from the teachers, the coaches, and I think it has to come also not from the competitive sport. It has to come also from the recreational level, because it's also important to playing by the rules, because it can be also some problems there.
You know that because you are role models of fair play, of course. Let's see another video message. Message of Philippe Ouzio from Brussels, who is the president of Panathlon International and the initiator of World Fair Play Day.
Dear friends, on the 7th of September 1963, in Paris, Jean Borotra, the famous tennis player called the Musketeer, asked some friends and sports federation to join him to think about the importance of fair play in the sports world, but also in the society. 50 years later, on the 7th September 2013, Panathlon Wallonie-Bruxelles decided to create the first International Fair Play Day. And since then, every year, we organize a lot of activities which make of the 7th of September a major day in the Belgian society. Since that also, we convinced the International Fair Play Committee, the European Fair Play Movement, as well as Panathlon International, to joint efforts to make of the 7th of September, since 2020, the day for fair play on a worldwide basis. It's an achievement. Our three organizations represent more than 120 countries in the world. We must have the dream to put all the efforts together to make sure that every single 7th of September becomes the day for fair play on a worldwide basis. Multiplying the initiatives, organizing events, and making sure that all the citizenship in the world understand the importance, not only of fair play, but also what it contains. Friendship, team spirit, respect. That's our dream, and I hope, but I'm convinced, we will realize it in the next coming years.
Thank you very much for these important sentences and message. Fair play is celebrated in many countries of Europe, as I mentioned earlier. We have received some pictures from Poland, Turkey, Austria and Slovakia. They organized a 100 days long Fair Play Challenge Thank you very much, friends, and congratulations for this. We have already mentioned the coronavirus pandemic as well, so let's talk a little bit about these extra circumstances. Laura, as an athlete, how did you live the closeness?
In the beginning, it was overwhelming to leave that Olympic that I'm preparing since like now 5 years. Then it's postponed, and but luckily I had the opportunity from my club that I can say I was living in a sport hall because I get the accommodation, so I could live with the sparring partners and with my coaches. So the thing is, I'm lucky to have it. I know that not everyone could have it, and so for me, at the end, it was fine because I was slowed down a bit. I was practicing more the mental part. I started to meditate that I have never done before, and then I felt it helped for my mental.
Mm-hmm. Attila, you were a very famous and very successful pentathlete. It is not an indoor sport.
It's not.
It's not. Absolutely not.
Except for fencing.
Yeah, okay. But how could you do any kind of sport during a closeness, during a quarantine?
Well, if you think over the 5 disciplines, you can say that running is okay. Yeah, you can just go out and running is at your hands. Swimming pools were closed, as far as I know. So for a longer period, that's a difficult thing to how to manage your skills for swimming. Mm-hmm. Shooting, again, I would say that nowadays when we have laser run, pentathletes shoot with a laser pistol, which can be used practically anywhere, I would say. So all you need is an outdoor place where you can set up a tent, and then you can somehow practice your shooting. So shooting, running, laser run is more or less okay. Fencing, again, challenging because halls and sports facilities were closed. Then again, I remember that even when I was doing pentathlon, we regularly used the tennis balls on a hanging string, and we kind of were practicing sticking the tennis ball. It's a good game anyway. So. But this is not the real fencing training, so it must have been very difficult for pentathletes as well, I'm sure.
And don't talk about the horses.
Horses, again, it's okay if it's outdoor. You can practice horse riding, so show jumping. And as far as I know, they were practicing more or less continuously, except for shorter periods. But if you look at the whole picture of pentathlon, meaning the 5 disciplines, and the balance between them, it was very difficult how to manage this period.
Maybe that showed that how difficult to practice for a competition, for example, like the Olympics is. The pandemic made harder the life of athletes and sport lovers as well. After a lot of cancelled sport events, it was a pleasure that we could support our favorites in real life. Budapest did everything that the athletes don't stay without championship during the time of the pandemic. After the closed-door sports events, the opening of stadiums was a real refreshment. One of the first opened events was the UEFA European Championship. Let's see how Budapest was waiting for the fans.
Welcome to Budapest. We are glad you're here for the Euro 2020 Football Championship. This city is amazing, and you will find a lot of places to discover before and after the games. Grab your Budapest card and get the most out of your stay. Check out this castle, and this, and this, and this, and this monument on your commute. Take a picture. Relax at the iconic thermal bath. This is the best place to cool off. There are amazing views over the city and along the Danube. We have plenty of outdoor terraces to enjoy a nice cold drink. And meet some fellow Hungarian football fans. Say, have a great game, stay safe, and enjoy your time in Budapest, the capital of Hungary.
Yes, and after that, the fantastic arena, the Puskás Arena in Budapest, was full of fans during the European Championships. High-level sports gets the critics several times. The players sacrifice everything on the altar of winning. Maybe we can show today some examples and efforts which prove that fair play has an important place in sport. Let's start with Italy.
Dear President Camuti, dear participants, dear friends, it is with great pleasure that I and Pentathlon International greet this Congress of the International Fair Play Committee, our partner in supporting the principles of good behavior in sport and in life. This event has been organized on a special day, 7th September, which has been chosen by our organizations to celebrate fair play all over the world. Being fair play means being fair and equitable, means behaving in an upfront, honest and unselfish manner in sport and in life in general. The idea is nothing new. Behaving honestly and equitably already characterized those who, in the latest centuries, were referred to as gentlemen. But why is fair play crucial in sport? The point is that sport often exacerbates patience. The desire to win or the appeal of reward on the part of sport people and exaggerated nationalism on the part of spectators sometimes push to behaviors that are a far cry from fair play. Nobody likes losing a match or a game. It is first and foremost through education that one learns how to exercise fair play. However, education on this point is often non-existent or insufficient. Our goal, the goal of the sport organizations that are here today, will therefore be to try to bridge this gap. To promote fair play, to inspire people to comply with fair play principles, there is no better way than highlighting its achievements, its excellent and admirable gestures. This is why our organizations are relentlessly trying to achieve. At Pentathlon International, the dissemination and demonstration of the ethical values of sport, where fair play occupies center stage, leverage on organizing special events where fair play gestures are highlighted. They also rely on visible, active and committed action in the framework of large-scale sports events. This educational task, enshrined in the Olympic Charter, is accomplished not only through the action undertaken by the management of our movement, but also and especially through the efforts deployed by some 300 Pentathlon International clubs across four continents, by means of conferences, by disseminating the charters of fair play, of the rights of the children in sport and of the duties of parents in sports, as well as through events involving athletes and their families. Every year, every month, every day, we strive to spread our values in society and especially among young people. This work must be constant and capillary. Together, we can contribute to forming better sportsmen and women in a fairer society. Thank you all for your attention.
Let's remain in Italy. Now we are guiding you to an international resupply championship, the Italian Habba Vaba tournament. There were not as much participants this year as earlier because of the pandemic, but children had a great time, be sure. At this championship, a Fair Play Award is given every year. In 2019, the winner was the Shota U10 water polo team from Budapest. We reached the team during the summer training camp in Budapest, where we prepared for the cup again. We asked the trainers how they can teach fairness for early-aged children. Be aware of the sweetness factor.
Fair Play díjat ugye a Habababán minden évben kiosztják, és ezt ugye mi megnyertük 2 évvel ezelőtt. Ez a Habababán úgy néz ki, hogy ez nemzetközileg ugye a legnagyobb vízilabda torna, 120 csapat vett részt, és a Fair Play díjat azt úgy osztották ki, hogy minden mérkőzésen a zsűri, illetve a bíró szavazott, pontszámot adott mindkét csapatnak a Fair Play jegyében, mind a játékosokra, a játék stílusra, mind az edzőknek a munkájára.
Hababab azért fontos az utánpótlás képzésben, mert ez egy eléggé erőszakos, meg ugye agresszív sport, tehát itt ugye elsősorban arra kell a fiatalok figyelmét felhívni, hogy nem a kurvulás az, ami ugye elsődleges, hanem a játék. Ezen a rendezvényen alapvetően folyamatosan vannak az edzőknek ugye oktatás kurzusok, mindig ugye össze szoktunk jönni, és az utánpótlásban neves edzők szoktak a saját nemzetükben a saját utánpótlásukat bemutatva előadást tartani.
A lényeg szerintem az egyik fontos dolog, hogy egy jó csapategységet alakítsunk ki saját egyesületen belül is, és hogyha ez megvan, akkor sokkal könnyebb már őket rávezetni arra, hogy egy ugyanilyen csapategység ellen veszik fel a versenyt, ahol ugyanígy váltvetve harcolnak a közös célért, és szerintem ha ez kialakult bennük, akkor már tisztában vannak azzal, hogy mit lehet és mit nem.
Mi azért gondoltuk, hogy azért kaptuk meg a Fair Play díjat, mert ugye sportszerűen játszottunk, lepacsisztunk az ellenféllel, nem álltunk fel a padról. A sportszerűség szerintem az, hogy nem ütöd meg az ellenfeledet, bármit is csinál. A végén lepacsizol vele, bármit is csinált veled, bármennyire is kaptál ki.
Mi szülőként ezen a nemzetközi Habababa tornán azt láttuk, hogy a különböző nációk gyermekei, csapatai ugyanolyan lelkesen szurkoltak egymásnak, nem volt semmilyen ellentét, affér, nem volt verekedés, még csak véletlenül sem. Én azt gondolom, hogy nekünk maximálisan szerencsénk van, mert nagyon jó edzőkkel dolgoznak együtt a gyermekeink. Azt látom rajtuk, hogy nem a győzelem a fontos minden esetben, sokkal inkább a meccsszituációk gyakorlása. Azt tanítják, hogy egy kevésbé eredményes meccsen vagy tornán is a tanulás, a tapasztalatok szerzése az nagyon fontos, és ez lebegjen mindig a szemünk előtt.
You could see in this film how important is the role of the coaches and the parents in fairness teaching. But who did you learn about rightfulness from? A mother, a coach, a teacher? From whom?
I think it has to come from an example. They can teach you or just tell about fair play or being nice or be kind, but if they don't act like nice, then you will never learn from that, I think. So luckily I have my parents, they were always nice with other people and also with me and with my siblings. And also I was lucky with my coaches also. They were never rude to me, they were never shouting on me. They were always trying to get the best part of me and the better version of myself, also on the court and also out of the court.
Attila, you have a
For
very
me,
special
probably
story.
my first so-called fair play mentor was my father. Actually, he used to be a pentathlon coach, and at my age of 5 or 6, he has taken me. He took me to several trainings and even training camps where I saw the young pentathletes then train. And he explained what the true spirit of the whole Olympic movement and fair play is. And he told me very good stories. And as earlier I already mentioned, inspiring stories are very important tutors or teachers of us. I mentioned Tamás Wichmann as one of my favorite inspiring moments relative to fair play. So for me, definitely my father was the first one to teach.
And you have to give forward to the children as well.
Yes, of course, my children do sport and did or do sport, and it's on the agenda as frequently as possible. Anything happens, there is a small conflict between my smallest daughter is doing artistic gymnastics. Between two gymnasts, there is a conflict. We talk about it, how to manage it, how to handle it. Okay, this is that way, this is the rude way, and this is the way of fair play.
And that's good. Okay, stories like yours, for example, always give us good examples, and it is very important. And it's good to hear about them. Another story is also worth to mention. Let's get to know the story of Nikki and Ebi at the Olympic Games in Rio.
Well, Nikki, Ebi, tell me, did you expect your extraordinary act of kindness, to one another to become an international sensation?
No, I don't think this is what either of us was expecting when we woke up yesterday morning to go and run a 5K heat in the Olympic Games.
Definitely not. I remember speaking to my parents at about 1 p.m. and I'm not really like an avid social media person, so I had not even been on. And they were like, just so you know, this is kind of blowing up. And so it's crazy how, yeah, like you said, just a simple act of kindness is recognized like that and just has power. And it's affirming, I think, to know that people see that and resonate with it and see it as special.
That moment on the track, Ebi, what did you think when Nikki fell over? Like, what was going through your mind?
Honestly, I can't, everything happened so fast. And so I just remember her falling, suddenly I was on the ground, and then just like got up and was like, well, we have to, we have to finish. And so I think both of us had that like gut response, like we're doing this together, because we each had an opportunity to help each other. So it's hard for either of us to explain why that happened, but it's just cool that we were prepared to do that somehow, and that there was just a power within us that I think we can't explain.
And Nikki, when Ebi couldn't go on, you could tell she was far more injured than appeared. Like, because you got up straight away, by the way. I thought you were okay. And did you think, okay, this is it for my heat? Was that going through your mind? Just thought, I've got to help this lady finish because she was really amazing with me just moments ago.
Possibly without Ebi, I'd still be lying out there on the track. All I remember is there was some movement in the pack in front of me, and then the next thing I know, I'm on the ground, and I'm shocked. I'm like, why am I on the ground? This is the Olympic Games and I am lying on the track. This shouldn't be happening. And then I feel Ebi shaking my shoulder, like literally, come on, get up, we have to finish this. And so I got up and I'm like, okay, start moving. And then I sort of realised that Ebi wasn't there, and I was, why is she not coming? And at that moment, you don't have time to think. You just do what you do, and believe it or not, there's probably some more important things than running a race.
Ebi, we've got something very, very small for you, just as a token of our Kiwidom. So that's for you. Okay, so there you go. That's from us. Just thank you for helping our Nikki up and making a race.
Oh,
It's
this
amazing.
is so cool. Thank you. It's my first souvenir.
The Olympic Games is over, but maybe this is a friendship forever, isn't it?
It is. I'm sure they will stay friends forever. I'm pretty sure. So this is the demonstration of solidarity, respect to your rivals. So I love this moment of Rio, actually.
This is a little bit the same, that like your story, isn't it? Together we are stronger.
Yes. Like what we are talking about, like winning is really important, since sport is a huge business. But I think it's like there are other important things like the work and the commitment you are putting on to the win. And for sure it's really important to have like a team around you, like the friends you can get through your way on your career, and to go together is always more fun and you can go further, I think.
Yeah, thank you. The idea of fair play is a great thing, of course, but without organized frames, supporters and professional cooperations, we cannot popularize this. Sunil Sabharwal, the International Fair Play Committee's General Secretary, is also talking about the importance of that in his message.
And I'm honored to be here talking about the International Fair Play Committee on this World Fair Play Day. The organization has been around for nearly 60 years now, and the way I like to think about it is that we're really here to promote positive sports stories. So we bring to the people of the world good news about sports. If you think of the events at the Rio Olympics in 2016, in the women's 5,000 meter, Nikki Hamlin and Lero D'Agostino, one fell, the other one helped the other one up, and then vice versa, and in the end they finished the race arm in arm. The importance of that, those seconds is really that if you go back to the Rio Olympics, that was the most watched clip of those games, and that shows that the positive stories that we're able to bring, there's actually quite a lot of interest around in the world in those, because otherwise it would not have been the #1 watched social media clip of those games. That's one example. Another one, if you think of the Tokyo Games, and that relates to the men's high jump event, where two jumpers in the end ended up with the same result. And when the referee approached the athletes about what to do, because they could have gone into a jump off, Mutaz Barshim of Qatar immediately responded with a question: can we not have two medals and share the glory? And I think that moment again will become one of these defining seconds of those Tokyo Olympics. And then finally, if you think of the stories related to the women's gymnastics competition and the US team, and how mental health issues really came up in the front of that story, and the way the members of the US women's gymnastics team were willing to step in and help out a struggling teammate, really, I think is another very fine example of fair play. We try and, of course, promote fair play throughout the year. We go to events such as the Olympics, but also other large sporting events, the World University Games. We also go to the Youth Olympic Games, and actually, since the very first Youth Olympic Games that were held in Singapore in 2010, we've developed an educational program for the youth, for the mass. So when we get to a day like this, we can actually spread beyond the elite athletes and throughout the world to be able to share stories of sportsmanship, of fair play, and thereby educating everyone to become a better person, really. Of course, we couldn't do this ourselves. First of all, we have our founders that are still active, such as UNESCO, the AIPS, which is the International Sports Press Journalists Association. We receive significant funding from the International Olympic Committee, and the personal support of IOC President Thomas Bach is really important for us. Beyond that, we have a number of other organizations, such as the Global Sports Foundation, who help us with the Youth Olympic Games. We also have some corporate partners, such as Cosmo Films out of India, and we really appreciate their assistance, which is beyond financial, because they also help us spread the word in other parts of the world where it may be a little more difficult to reach. So my message to the people is that try and think of these really fine examples that you see, and if you just tell these stories to others that are within your sphere of influence, and share the stories, and then of course lead by example.
In the education of fair play supporters, collaborations and organizations have significant roles, like Sunil said too. We visited the family day of FTC, commonly known as Freddy, the biggest Hungarian sport club, where we met the Hungarian fair play team as well. We asked them what examples they can show about fair behavior. Freddy is one of the few teams which has its own fair play committee. That's how important is this to them.
We were quite active in the recent years in the Hungarian Fair Play Committee. We launched a lot of initiatives and projects, but then finally they encouraged us to re-establish our own Fair Play Committee and awards. So in 2007 we started the process. We would like to also move forward and inspire other clubs and other sports organizations as well to find their role models within their own communities.
Mi rendeztük a családi napot úgy, mint 10 éve mindig. Az egyik fő rendezvénye az alapítványnak ez a mai rendezvény, amit mögöttünk zajlik. Szerintem a fair play nem csak a sportban, de az világon, meg az életben, meg a mindennapjainkban is szerintem nagyon fontos dolog.
I think I've played in a lot of places and it's always the same wherever I go, that everyone has this common love of football and it's very easy to connect through that.
Football's not always fair, you know, the better team can lose games in order to honor the game. I always think it's really important to play with respect for your teammates, with respect for the referees, for the other team, for the fans. I think that's a big part of the beauty of the game.
Győzni mindig jó, de győzni szerintem szépen kell. Nem tudhatod, hogy az ellenfele milyen háttérrel, illetve milyen fájdalmakkal, küzdelmekkel állt oda a rajtvonalra, úgyhogy szerintem eleve a sportteljesítményt el kell ismerni.
We can meet with the top athletes, but when we would like to reach the young generation, the future top athletes, we have to visit the clubs, we have to visit the federations and some youth events. So that's why we are here in the Fradi Family Day. We know that the fair play is much more than only the sport, and much more than victory, for example.
I've been invited by International Fair Play Committee. We look for a cooperation, closer cooperation between Ferencváros SK Rapid, but on top of this we are looking also the cooperation with Urban Floating Lodge in Budapest. Fair play is important in the business, fair play is important at sport, fair play is important at culture, yeah. And fair play should be also a signature for the future, for example, sustainability and renewable energy, yeah. And therefore I appreciate very much the cooperation with International Fair Play, not only in Budapest, but to go together out to the world.
I think when you're on the track, you can see the other skaters, other competitors, and of course you want to fight with them. On the track, you're both enemies, but when you get off the track, you can be friends as well.
That one thing actually happened to me. We always take like spare shoelaces with us, and if someone is breaking their shoelaces, because we have to tie our boots so tight, it could break easily. And I was just borrowing to one of my competitors. So I think fair places have a lot of options or versions.
A Ferencváros ilyenkor szakításon belül elindítottunk 7 évvel ezelőtt a felnőtt csapatot. Itt nagyon sok halálszüli gyerek érdeklődtek, hogy nagyon érdekes, hogy a halálszüli gyerekek többsége a hallókkal nehezen tudnak kommunikálni, segítek tanítani ilyenkor közáltal a halló gyerekek megtanultak jelenni, azok a gyerekek meg kicsit tárolni, ez egy nagyon hosszú folyamat.
As we heard in this video, there are different kinds of fair play. Attila, you have got a Fair Play Live Achievement Award. What do you think? How did you deserve it?
Well, as it was a Life Achievement Award, I cannot tell you a particular part of fair play, but what might have been the most important when I became awarded probably is the do your best at any circumstances behavior. And I demonstrated it several times during my career, actually. Probably the best highlight of this attitude was in Melbourne in 1985 when I won the individual gold medal in the World Championships. The last event was the cross-country running. It was very muddy, very sliding surface, and after 2,000 meters, one of my Spike running shoes was lost in the mud. And I didn't give up. Of course, I had to restructure my strategy, and I could cope with this challenge, and I won the gold medal. So this might have been the highlight of my career. But this is very similar to Silan Hassan, if you remember, among the nominees. So she fell over, but she stood up and continued. This is also an important element in the field of fair play, or in the theme of in the scope of fair play. Probably that might have been one of the reasons I got this award.
You have to be very strong mentally if there is no...
Yes, that is, and yeah, actually it is. It is. So, and I learned in modern pentathlon that actually the sooner you quit your blaming yourself, your bad attitude, and turn it into the positive, the sooner you will catch up with the field of athletes. So
there is no other way if there is nobody to give you another shoe.
If you give up, yes, that is an excellent example. Laura's story is an excellent example when I help my rival to have the same conditions as I have. But in this case, definitely you have to manage your problems mentally and probably internally sometimes, and that is mental strength.
But I think you have to be fair outside of the field as well.
Of course.
With your whole life, and
of course.
That's the reason that
it happened actually that during the riding, for instance, it's typical in the field of modern pentathlon that we give our spurs or riding sticks to our non-Hungarian rivals if they need it. So this is quite typical for pentathletes.
That's very good. We have another message, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Schmidt is a 2-time Olympic champion, dual fighter, sport diplomat, economist, and politician. He was the general secretary, then the president of the Hungarian Olympic Committee between 1983 and 2010. He was the vice president of the International Olympic Committee between 1995 and 1999. He also was the Hungarian president between 2010 and 2012. And currently he is the member of the International Olympic Committee's leadership. We talked about the history of fair play and his favorite fair play examples.
Thank you for joining us today. Earlier, Christian Kulcsár has filled us in about the Hungarian Olympics Committee's relationship with Fair Play Committee, but I would like to know about your take on International Olympic Committee's work with Fair Play Committee.
First of all, I remember it was 30 years ago when I became president of the Hungarian Olympic Committee. My first arrangement was to make a logo and a motto in connection with fair play. We said, fair play is the only way. My friend Jenő Kamuti remembers well, because he was at that time already member of the executive board. Fair play is the only way, and the national color, red, white, and green, with an arrow, that this is the only way, the fair play. And I established a working committee, among others, of course, because we need Athletes Commission, Finance Commission, Ethics Commission, whatever. But it was one of the first, had to be established, the Fair Play Committee. As an athlete, I realized that how important is to fight well and fairly. Because if there is no fair play, whatever do the rules and regulations and the referees, it has no sense if the athletes, they don't respect the way of fair play. if somebody cheats, if somebody uses doping, if somebody has not permitted advance in front of the other, the whole thing loses its raison d'etre. The whole thing is in vain. I think this is the most important task for the Fair Play Committee, let it be national or international. There are many important ways to do. The first is education. The second is to show good example. The third is to decorate those who really fight in a fair manner. I like very much sometimes a small fair gesture is shown all over the world with the help of the internet and whatever home pages. Small gesture here in one of the domestic table tennis competition go out to the world, and these are real heroes who behave fairly, and I like very much that the world know about them and the world recognize them, and the International Fair Play Association, they even award them.
You have mentioned little brief moments of fairness within the Olympics. Can you please tell me about an example that you've seen and it was heartwarming for you or special for you?
We have a fencer, Aaron Szilágyi, who in several times, even in the Olympic final, he raised his hands and say, "Touch me," helping the referee to make the right judgment. But the last time we were in the Olympic Games in Tokyo a couple of weeks ago, and there was a Hungarian girl taking part in the hurdle. I think it's 100-meter hurdle for women. And one of our athletes, Kozák Luca, fell down, as far as I remember, the third or fourth hurdle. But she realized that another athlete fell down as well. So she stopped, helped her to stand up, and both they continued, they run into the final line together. This was a very, very nice gesture in the very middle of the excitement, you know, the largest happening in my life. I participated in the Olympic, but somebody fell down. The number one is I have to help. So that was her very nice, fair gesture.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and I wish you luck in your work.
At the Olympic Games this year, there were athletes who were forced to step back because of the COVID pandemic. Others had to gain their earlier form after the longer mission. And of course, there were athletes who ended with surprisingly good results. The University of Semmelweis is the biggest medical training institute in Hungary. Béla Merkeli is not just the rector of the university, but also a huge fan of sport. The professor fought around the pandemic at the front line. We asked him about the connection between COVID and sport and about the science it leaves on athletes. Let's see what he is thinking about the future of sport.
Of course, this 1.5 years pandemic situation extremely affect all elite athletes and amateur athletes' activity. In general, elite athletes need to train, need to compete, and of course to travel, and it was impossible. Even for amateur athletes, has much less opportunity to train. So I think they suffered a lot from that period. If you look at the population, the majorities of the population does not have or did not have the opportunities to train regularly because the facilitated gyms were closed. And I heard about it that in general 3 kilos extra was added to everyone, which has of course a negative influence on your health condition. So Semmelweis University had an important role in fighting against coronavirus pandemic. We had a leadership among the universities. We had the largest amount of PCR tests, the largest amount of patients who were treated. We were the first who vaccinated people That was on the 26th of December. Of course, our primary goal was just to avoid the infection of the beginning, keep the very important restrictive measures, but we also wanted to make it possible just to organize competition. We need a clear competitive opportunity for our elite athletes or professional athletes. Semmelweis University organized intelligent bubbles for performing venues. It was safe and our athletes were excellent and they did a good job, and it was a good start for the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So I was very young, 3 years old, started to swim and continued with water polo. And I'm now a master water polo player. So that's why I strongly recommend all of our amateur athletes, elite athletes, never give up, just to continue your activity as before the pandemic.
Laura, you know, what does it mean to be ill by the COVID virus? How it has affected your physical and mental health?
Unfortunately, it hit me pretty hard. I was testing positive for 3 weeks, and I had to stay home for 3 weeks. When I started to practice at home for a bit, then I had the fever again, and then I just couldn't move. I had to stay home. That was hard mentally. Especially, I know all my competitors, they are just practicing, and the COVID is not hitting everyone the same way. So I was asking myself, like, why me? Why I have to start again to build up my stamina, to work on, just to work where I was before. And sometimes it was really hard, but luckily I had my loved ones. They were like helping me, like to come over, like mentally, all about this. And after, when I started to practice, I had to go through all the checkings, you know, like if there is some effect on my heart or my lungs. But luckily nothing happened. So I could qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games. That was my main goal, and I'm happy.
Did you feel any difference within your form because of the COVID?
Yeah, I felt when I started practice, for me, my pulse was really high that I had never had before. And then I was just like, how it can happen? Like, when it will finish? When I went on the tournament, I just couldn't breathe. And then it scared me so much. Then I was like realizing, like, sport is not everything. Like, first I have to be healthy and get over this, then I can continue my goal.
Thank you. We said it today several times how important is fair play all around the world, and we hope it will be more and more important, of course. Now take a look at some other countries in the world. Welcome our Norwegian and Mexican friends, and please hear our video messages.
The match against Iceland was pretty good, but not good enough.
The most impressive was our game against Croatia, I think.
And the big event was against France. If anybody had said that we should beat France by several goals, I think it was 5, I'd said, you are just about crazy. But, as you know, we did. And then everything was going Norway's way.
The game against Germany was, I knew it was one of the toughest opponents left in the Euro.
In the semi-final there was a very good atmosphere because the Norwegian team and also the German team was a very young team. It was, for the most players, it was the first time they are in semi-final in the European Championships.
What I remember, it was very tight all the way. And we fought like like heroes to get that place in the final.
Dette ballen vi må stoppe nå, gutter. Nå må dere gjøre det som det det siste dere gjør.
During the game, we had a chance.
Kom igjen! Nei! Nei! Og så ryker det der! Det var så nære, og så taper vi der.
A few seconds before the match ended, as we got the ball and should attack the German goal, there came a player from the German bench into the mid-circle.
For us it was a very shocking situation when the seventh player ran into the field.
Vi har sett noen bilder som viser at en situasjon hvor det for mange keepere på banen. Og så har vi valgt å legge inn en protest på kampresultatet på bakgrunn av de bildene vi har sett.
Nå det selvfølgelig alt hektisk, og jeg villig til å tro det samme som Christian Kjelling, at dette kaos, dette ikke noe bevisst juks, langt derifra. Men regelbrudd regelbrudd.
We get the information that there was a protest from the Norwegian team.
In how much he influenced on our play, that's always a discussion. But he was there, that was wrong.
Nobody has a good feeling at this moment, so it was hard for us.
And it's very important for me, and that everybody, every second of the game, is on their toes and do the right decisions.
In a meeting at the Players Hotel, we looked at videotapes from every angle, I think. We were counting seconds, we were discussing rules, we were discussing the intention that this German player had or not had. We were discussing fair play. I don't think there was a question we didn't discuss.
Fair play means a lot to me. We fight for that we play fair in every game. My team would like to appear as a fair team. So we talk a lot about that.
And we decided at 1:30 that night that we are not going to go further with the protest.
We are thankful that the Norwegian team stopped the protest.
So it was one of my biggest fears also that a game should be decided in a meeting room, because it should be decided between two good teams and not in a game.
Hola, un saludo desde Fair Play, América Latina y el Caribe. Mi nombre es Jorge Castro Rea y he sido encargado para promover el movimiento Fair Play Internacional en la zona América Latina y el Caribe. Me gustaría compartir con ustedes lo que hacemos para promover esta noble labor y el espíritu de Fair Play Internacional en esta parte del planeta. Acompáñenme. En Fair Play Latinoamérica y Caribe hemos trabajado mucho en los últimos años en la promoción del Fair Play en nuestra sociedad, haciendo énfasis en los jóvenes y niños a través de diversas organizaciones deportivas en diferentes países del área. Nuestro trabajo se realiza mediante la organización de eventos que nos ayuden a difundir el ideal Fair Play y para lograr este objetivo hemos organizado muchas conferencias, foros, competencias deportivas, cursos de capacitación virtuales, premios y reconocimientos, producción de material audiovisual para fácil acceso a la promoción, convivencias sociales, concursos y además procuramos la presencia en eventos deportivos nacionales e internacionales y en diversos juegos regionales multideportivos. Hemos dedicado mucho de nuestro esfuerzo en la creación de comités Fair Play en diversas organizaciones deportivas, comités olímpicos nacionales, ministerios del deporte, universidades, federaciones nacionales, confederaciones regionales. Hemos logrado impulsar este importante movimiento internacional, agrupando a un cada día más grande número de promotores del Fair Play. En nuestras actividades han tenido participación países como Colombia, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Argentina, Perú, Brasil, Uruguay, Bolivia, Paraguay, Venezuela, Ecuador, Panamá, Guatemala, República Dominicana, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Cuba y México. Para nosotros es un gusto poder celebrar con ustedes el 7 de septiembre como el Día Mundial de Fair Play. Un saludo desde América Latina y el Caribe, un saludo a todos los que promueven este noble movimiento internacional. Un abrazo y que viva el Fair Play.
And we have another short message from Daniel Gyurta, Hungarian swimmer, Olympic champion and member of the International Olympic Committee. Let's see what he says about the fair play.
Dear Olympic family members, dear fellow athletes. As an earlier awarded athlete, I would like to express my great honor to be able to stand in front of you, speaking my thoughts regarding the fair play. Fair play is a key fundamental value of the modern sport. All athletes must act with a mutual respect on the field of the play and even after leaving the court. Fair play means the love of the sport, and this is where you also have the chance to display your humility. You will have many opponents to defeat during your career, but as an athlete you won't have enemies, and this is the huge difference. My favorite experience was the fair play act of the Hungarian badminton player Laura Sárosi back in 2016, the Rio Olympic Games. I cannot forget the moment when she offered her spare pair of shoes to her opponent before their match. Without this, she wouldn't have moved to the next round without playing the match. And you can guess what happened. Laura lost the game, but for an athlete like her, this was the only way. There was no other solution, and as she told in a later interview, she didn't want a victory without a fair battle. Instead, she acted fairly and lost with a head held high. Her example can show what the real meaning of sportsmanship and how we all should think about fellow athletes, victories and defeats. The importance of fair play belongs to the sport, and I am glad that the whole Olympic movement has been supporting a fair play for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Attila, you are a special athlete because you won individually and with a team member as well. What is the more difficult to decide to be fair when you are a member of a team and you are responsible for the others, or when you are alone?
First of all, you have to know that in pentathlon teams competition, we are in the classical meaning of the word, we are another team, so not at the same time on the same field of play, but we help each other, we take care of each other if anything is needed. I wouldn't make a distinction, to be honest. So if you train and you compete in the spirit of fair play, it comes by nature that even if you consider a team competition as well, while you are individually aspiring, then it becomes part of the team spirit, and not only between the competitors, the athletes, but also in the wider environment, so also for the entourage, and it becomes natural that we demonstrate the fair play spirit.
Laura, it is possible to develop yourself to be more fair?
I think yes, you can practice. For me, I know myself. Like I can lose my head easily. So I know I can be like I can do or say things that I regret, and then I know it's not nice, and then I'm trying to practice it, and I'm trying to be better in it.
So it's possible to be fair. That means to be wiser and wiser.
In our communication as well, yes, it can be represented and demonstrated.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes there are really serious situations and hard moments in sport, as you know. Sometimes it's really hard to get your strength back. Maybe art can help in these cases. In the next few minutes, we are trying to find solutions for getting over the failures. Let's see what the connection is between sport and art.
We are the Bodo Gallery and Auction House in Budapest. Our gallery has an interest in sports too. This is really rare subject in the art history. Only after the 19th century we can find some artworks what represents the everyday life. But the sport it was still a rare subject. Only in the 20th century you can see some genre artworks when you find also royal families or famous people just playing or sailing or hunting, and these were the first sports activities on the canvases or on the art history.
Itt, amit látunk, főleg 20. század második feléből néhány festmény. Kezdeném esetleg azzal a nagy képpel, amit egy Jancsek Antal nevezetű, jól ismert magyar festőművész festett. Bolondult a sporttér és a sporttémáért, és például ő ezen az aranycsapat meccsen kint volt, amikor a svédekkel játszottak. A hátára mindenkinek a nevét ráírta, és ezt megmutatnám. Nem azt írta, hogy Lantos Bozsik vagy Puskás, hanem Lantosunk, Bozsik cucunk, Puskás öcsink, és itt a ciborunk. Tehát így dokumentálta is a festményen szereplő sportolókat. A mai nap hoztak be egy nagyon érdekes darabot, ami egy 1934-es festmény egy Dobai Ferenc nevű festőtől. Ez a teniszpálya, ez a Feneketlen tónál ma is működik, egy kicsit már más az elosztása, de 1934-ben ilyen tenisz és sportélet volt ezen a területen. Nagyon sok festőt ismerünk, aki a sport karrierje után művészetbe, festészetbe találta meg a önmegvalósítási lehetőséget. Először is megmutatnám egy olimpiai második lengyel vívónak a nagyon jó minőségű akvarell festményét, és remekül ábrázolja a kardvívókat, igaz, hogy lovon, de sisakban, tehát ez nem egy véremenő küzdelem, hanem ez egy sportjelenet. És a sport az mindig nagyon fontos része volt az életemnek. Aztán van egy nagyon érdekes felfedezésünk. Egy kis teniszező, 11 éves kislány hihetetlen tehetséggel fest. Először a szülők jöttek rá, aztán amikor megláttam a képeit, akkor már én is láttam, hogy itt valami fantasztikus dologról van szó. Ez a két festmény Sávolt Karolina alkotása, és ő nem tanult festeni, ő nem járt magántanárhoz, az ő élete az a sportról szól, teniszezik napi több órába, és mellette ilyen minőségű festményeket készít, amik nagyon sok gyűjtőnek az érdeklődését már most felkeltették. Tehát ahogy ezekből a történetekből is látszik, a sport és a művészet nagyon jól kiegészíti egymást.
Attila, one of your hobbies is music. You are a guitar player, isn't?
I can strum the guitar, let's agree, okay? So I can play somehow, yes, and I love.
Yes, but how can the music, the art help if you have a difficult time in your life?
For me, it was a huge support, for instance, in the preparation period for the Barcelona games in 1992. I had my guitar at hand during training camps, and when I was tired and I tried to somehow run out of the current situation, then I took my guitar and started playing, and it depended on my mood what was I trying to play, to be honest. And of course we had good example in this last video, so I think that art and any kind of creature or creative activity is very near to sport, very close to sport. Myself, I was considering being a pentathlete as part of my creative way. I try to create a better myself day by day, and this is very similar for artists. So if you are a painter, you want to paint an excellent picture. If you are not satisfied what you've done, then you put it away, you start it again, do it again. So I think that there is a very close connection between the two areas of society.
All athletes should practice any kind of art?
Yes, I can suggest, yes, of course. Be it painting or sculpture or playing music on any instruments. Yeah? What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I cannot play in any instruments. I hope one day I will learn how to play on piano, but this is the only thing I know.
Never late.
It's never late to
Just
start.
begin.
Okay.
Thank you. We have already talked a lot about the Olympic Games of 2020 or 2021, if you want. Now let's see what is the situation in the country which organized the world's most important sport event.
I'm Junko Tahara, a board member of the International Fair Play Committee. In commemoration of World Fair Play Day, I'd like to send you a brief message. In sport, we all train every day and play to win. It is naturally inspiring to see athletes do their best. What is more inspiring, however, is to see them go beyond their obsession with winning to act in a way that makes the games fairer and to show compassion for their opponents. Fair play is not something that you can learn by simply engaging in sport. Fair play must be taught. Therefore, it is very important that you teach children and young people what fair play is. The winners of the International Fair Play Awards are good examples of what is highly regarded as fair play. On 7th September, let us make people around the world aware of the significance of fair play that can be learned through sport. Fair play enhances the value of sport and humanity. Being fair is not only expected of athletes, but also of referees, leaders, and spectators. In addition to achieving fairness in sport, we should also ensure that more equal sporting environments are created for the diverse individuals who are not yet able to participate sufficiently in sport. Let's think and act together on how we can make fair play more commonplace and widespread. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we spent together a very important and excellent time today talking about a lot of important questions and great stories about the fair play. I hope we could give some important takeaway messages for the sport world and for you, of course. The International Fair Play Committee is continuing this work in the future, so turn to them with trust. And we are encouraging everyone from our studio to promote fair play to our beautiful and exciting world could be more lovable. Thank you very much for our guest joining us today, Laura.
Thank you for
Good
the
luck
invitation.
for you in your career.
Thank you.
And Attila, have a great work in the future. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you very
your
much.
sentences. And of course, thank you for you, dear spectators. Thank you for your important job in spreading the spirit of fair play all around the world. We are closing our show with some wonderful pictures. The members of the International Fair Play Committee planted a tree yesterday as a symbol of fair play here in Budapest in one of the biggest city parks. We promise we will take care of this little tree like your eyes shine. We hope this will give shadow a lot of people and several athletes will relax under this tree after a great fair fight in the future. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.
Szeptember 7-ét a Nemzetközi Fair Play Bizottság kijelölte a Fair Play napjává. 1963-ban alakult a Nemzetközi Fair Play Bizottság, eddig ez nem került szóba. 2013-ban javasoltam az UNESCO felé, hogy legyen Fair Play napunk, az IOC is javasolta, de mind a mai napig ez hivatalosan nem ment át. Elhatároztuk, hogy nem várunk, hanem kijelöljük azt a napot, amelyhez történelmi események is tartoznak, és a Fair Play napján mostantól kezdve szeretném azt, hogy mindenhol a világon, iskolákban, szervezetekben, sportszervezetekben, társadalom különböző szervezetében ezen a napon legalább egy mondat hangzon el, hogy létezik Fair Play is. És ha erre sétálnak fiatalok vagy öregek, mindenki rátekintett erre a három fára, ami hát szimbolizálná ezt a jelképet. Érzelmileg is kötődöm ehhez a helyhez, ahhoz a helyhez, ami szimbolizálja számomra mostantól kezdve, hogy 3 fát ültettünk el a Fair Play nevében. Életem eddigi és azutáni életét is szimbolizálja ez a 3 fa. Mi építünk, mi a jövőt próbáljuk tovább építeni, és tulajdonképpen a felnövő generációk, akik erre járnak és látnak egy kis táblát, hogy a Fair Play több mint egy győzelem, szimbolizálja, és ha felnőnek, akkor ezt fogják képviselni.